The small human ship Horizon drifted through the dark void of space, its metal hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Commander Alex Reed stood on the bridge, watching the vast emptiness through the main window. His crew of 12 had been traveling for 8 months, farther from Earth than any human had ever gone before. "Sir, we're picking up something on the scanners," called out Navigator Kate Morgan from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel, her face lit by the blue glow of the screens. Alex walked over to look at the readings. Strange. Energy signatures were showing up on their sensors, unlike anything they had seen before. "What do you think it is?" "Unknown, Commander, but it's big, and it's moving toward us fast." Engineer Tom Parker looked up from his repair work near the back of the bridge. "Could be space debris, maybe from an old asteroid collision." Before anyone could respond, the ship's warning alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed across the bridge as Dr. Lisa Hayes rushed to her science station. "Multiple contacts approaching," she shouted over the noise. "They're not natural objects. These are ships, Commander. Alien ships." Alex felt his heart pound in his chest. This was it. After years of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, they finally had their answer. "Everyone to battle stations. Kate, try to establish communication." The main screen flickered to life, showing 5 massive vessels approaching the horizon. They were unlike anything human engineers had ever imagined. The ships looked like giant insects made of dark metal, with long spikes and glowing red sections along their hulls. "Incoming transmission," Kate announced. The screen changed to show the interior of one of the alien ships. A creature that looked like a mix between a lizard and a spider sat in what appeared to be a command chair. Its 4 arms moved independently as it operated controls, while 6 yellow eyes focused on the camera. "I am General Crix of the Vorthak Empire," the creature spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. "You have entered our territory without permission." Alex stepped forward, trying to appear calm despite his racing pulse. "I am Commander Alex Reed of the human vessel Horizon. We come in peace. We didn't know this space belonged to anyone." General Crix made a sound that might have been laughter. "Humans. We have heard whispers of your kind from the outer rim, primitive beings who have barely learned to leave their home world." "We're explorers," Alex replied. "We're just trying to learn about the galaxy." "Your exploring ends here," Crix said, his eyes narrowing. "Surrender your vessel immediately. You will be taken for questioning and your ship will be studied." Alex looked around at his crew. They were scared, but he could see determination in their faces. "I'm sorry, but we can't do that. We have families to return to." "Then you will be destroyed," Crix replied without emotion. "This is the price of defying the Vorthak Empire." The transmission ended, and Alex immediately turned to his crew. "All hands, prepare for combat." "Tom, how are our weapons?" "Functional but basic, sir," Tom replied, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Our lasers might scratch their paint, but those ships are armed with things we've never seen before." Chief Engineer Mike Stone's voice came over the communication system from the engine room. "Commander, I'm reading massive power buildup from their weapons. Whatever they're planning to hit us with, our shields won't stop it." Alex gritted his teeth. They were outgunned and outnumbered, but they weren't going to give up without a fight. "Fire everything we've got at their lead ship." The Horizon unleashed its small arsenal of laser weapons. Bright beams of light streaked across space toward the alien vessels. The attacks hit their targets but seemed to have no effect on the thick alien armor. "Their turn," Kate said quietly. The alien ships responded with weapons that looked like lightning made of green fire. The energy bolts struck the Horizon with tremendous force, causing the entire ship to shake violently. Lights flickered on and office systems struggled to handle the damage. "Hull breach in Section 4, Mike's voice crackled through the speakers. "We're losing atmosphere fast." Alex ran toward the damaged area with Tom and Dr. Hayes following close behind. When they reached Section 4, they found a hole in the ship's wall large enough for a person to crawl through. Space was visible through the gap, and emergency systems were working overtime to prevent all their air from escaping. "We need to seal this now," Tom said, grabbing emergency repair tools from a nearby storage unit. "If we lose much more atmosphere, We won't make it back to Earth. As Tom worked to close the breach, another energy bolt from the alien ship struck nearby. The impact threw him against the damaged wall, and a sharp piece of twisted metal cut deep into his arm. Blood began flowing freely from the wound, dripping onto the ship's steel framework around the hole. "Tom!" Dr. Hayes rushed to help him, pressing cloth against the cut to stop the bleeding. But something strange was happening where Tom's blood had touched the metal. The steel around the breach began to glow with a soft blue light. The glow spread outward from each drop of blood, and the metal itself seemed to be moving. What the hell? Tom stared at the wall in amazement. The hole in the ship's hull was closing by itself. The steel was flowing like liquid, filling in the gaps and sealing the breach. Within minutes, the wall looked as if it had never been damaged at all. The metal was smoother than before, and it seemed to pulse with a faint inner light. Dr. Hayes ran her medical scanner over the repaired section. "The readings are incredible. This isn't just a patch job. The molecular structure of the steel has completely changed." Alex touched the wall where the repair had happened. It felt warm under his palm, almost alive. "How is this possible?" Before anyone could answer, Kate's voice came over the communication system. "Commander, you need to see this. The aliens are backing away from us." They rushed back to the bridge, where the main screen showed the Vorthak ships moving to a safer distance. General Crix appeared on the screen again, but his expression had changed. The confidence was gone, replaced by something that looked like concern. "What kind of technology do you possess?" Crix demanded. "Our sensors detected massive energy readings from your vessel." Alex decided to bluff. "That's classified information, General." Crix's 6 eyes moved independently as he studied the human commander. "This encounter is not over, human. The Vorthak Empire will learn your secrets." The alien ships began to turn away, but before they could leave completely, Mike's voice came from the engine room. "Commander, we're about to lose main power. If we don't jump to hyperspace now, we'll be stuck here." "Do it," Alex ordered. The horizon vanished in a flash of light, leaving the Vorthak ships alone in space. General Crix stared at the empty area where the human vessel had been, his mind racing, with questions about what he had witnessed. The horizon drifted silently through a field of floating rocks, hidden from any passing ships. Commander Alex Reed had ordered the emergency hyperspace jump to take them to this remote asteroid belt, far from the Vorthak patrol routes. The ship's engines were quiet now, running on minimal power to avoid detection. "How long until we can make repairs?" Alex asked Chief Engineer Mike Stone, who was studying damage reports on his tablet. "At least 2 days, maybe 3, Mike replied, wiping grease from his hands. "The alien weapons did more damage than we first thought. But sir, there's something else you need to see." Alex followed Mike through the ship's corridors to Section 4, where the hull breach had mysteriously sealed itself. Other crew members had gathered there, including Dr. Lisa Hayes and Navigator Kate Morgan. They all stared at the wall where Tom Parker's blood had touched the metal. "It's still changing," Dr. Hayes said, holding her scanner toward the repaired section. "The molecular structure is completely different from the rest of the ship." Tom Parker sat nearby, his injured arm wrapped in bandages. "I can feel it," he said quietly. "It sounds crazy, but I swear I can feel the metal somehow." Alex knelt down and touched the wall. The steel felt warm and seemed to pulse gently under his palm. "What exactly happened here, Doc?" Dr. Hayes pulled up readings on her scanner's display. "When Tom's blood made contact with the steel, it triggered some kind of reaction. But this isn't just healing or repair work. The metal has actually evolved into something entirely new." "Evolved?" Kate asked, moving closer to examine the wall. "The atomic structure has changed at the most basic level," Dr. Hayes explained. "It's still steel, but it's steel that can think, react, and adapt. I've never seen anything like it in all my years of studying materials." Mike ran his own tests with engineering equipment. "The strength of this section is now 3 times greater than the original hull. It's also conducting energy more efficiently and seems to be connected to our ship's main system somehow." Alex stood up, trying to process what he was hearing. "Are you saying Tom's blood did this?" "Not just any blood," Dr. Hayes said, excitement growing in her voice. It has to be human blood, and it needs to be exposed to certain types of cosmic radiation that we've encountered out here in deep space. The combination creates a catalyst that transforms steel alloys. Tom looked at his bandaged arm. So, my blood can change metal? All human blood can, under the right conditions, Dr. Hayes replied. But the really incredible part is what the metal becomes afterward. She pressed her hand against the transformed wall section. Immediately, the metal began to glow brighter, and thin lines of light spread outward from her touch. It responds to human contact, she said. It's like the metal recognizes us now. Mike pulled out a small piece of regular steel from his toolkit. Let's test this theory. He pricked his finger with a sharp tool and let a few drops of blood fall onto the metal piece. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the steel began to change. It became smoother, and a faint glow appeared around the edges. Incredible, Alex whispered. But why is this happening? Dr. Hayes had been thinking about this question for hours. I believe it's related to human evolution. For thousands of years, we've been using tools and working with metals. Maybe this is the next step. Instead of just using tools, we're learning to bond with them. Bond with them? Kate asked. Think about it, Dr. Hayes continued. Humans are the only species we know of that can transform raw materials into complex machines. We've been doing it for so long that maybe our blood has developed this ability to enhance metals. Tom stood up and walked over to the transformed wall section. When he placed his hand against it, the entire area lit up like a control panel. I can sense the ship's systems through this, he said with wonder. I know where every damaged component is located, and I can feel what needs to be repaired. Mike's eyes widened. That's impossible. How can you interface with the ship's computer through metal? It's not the computer, Tom replied. It's the metal itself. It's become some kind of bridge between human consciousness and machine systems. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. This discovery could change everything for humanity, but it also made him think about their recent encounter with the Vorthak. Do you think the aliens detected what happened? He asked. Definitely, Mike said. When the metal transformed, it released massive amounts of energy. Their sensors would have picked up readings unlike anything they've ever seen. Meanwhile, light years away, General Crix stood in the command center of his flagship. He was studying reports from the encounter with the human vessel, and what he read disturbed him greatly. Admiral Thex, he said into his communication device, I need to speak with you immediately about the human contact. The screen activated to show Admiral Thex, a larger and more intimidating Vorthak with scars covering his face. What is it, General? I heard you let a primitive human ship escape. Sir, they are not primitive, Crix replied. During our engagement, their vessel displayed technology beyond our understanding. Our sensors detected energy readings that should be impossible for a ship of that size. Admiral Thex's forearms moved restlessly. Explain. When we damaged their hull, it repaired itself instantly. Not with patches or external systems, but the metal itself flowed back together like living tissue. The energy signature suggested their entire ship had been transformed into something our science cannot explain. Are you certain of this? Admiral Thex's voice carried a warning tone. I have reviewed the sensor data multiple times, Crix said. Sir, I believe humans possess biomechanical integration capabilities that could threaten our empire's technological advantage. Admiral Thex was quiet for a long moment. The Vorthak Empire had ruled this section of the galaxy for over 1,000 years because of their superior technology. The idea that a newly discovered species might possess abilities they didn't understand was deeply troubling. Gather a full battle fleet, Admiral Thex finally ordered. We will capture these humans and study their technology. If they truly possess such capabilities, we must control them before other species learn of their existence. Back on the horizon, Alex gathered his crew in the main meeting room. The discovery about human blood and steel had given them hope, but also raised many questions about their future. We need to get this information back to Earth, Alex said. If what we've discovered is true, it could revolutionize human space travel. But first, we need to survive long enough to make it home, Kate pointed out. Those aliens aren't going to forget about us. Dr. Hayes looked around the room at her fellow crew members. We should run more tests. If Tom's blood can transform small sections of the ship, what would happen if we applied this process to larger areas? Tom flexed his injured arm. I'm willing to try if it means getting us home safely. Let's be careful, Alex warned. We don't fully understand what we're dealing with yet. But even as he spoke, Alex could feel that their lives had changed forever. They were no longer just human explorers lost in space. They had become something new, something that even they didn't fully understand yet. Admiral Thex's massive warship Devastator led a fleet of 30 Vorthak vessels through hyperspace toward the coordinates where the human ship had last been detected. The Admiral's 6 eyes studied tactical displays showing the positions of his fleet, the most powerful force the Vorthak Empire had assembled in decades. Sir, we are approaching the target zone, reported Captain Vex from the navigation station. All ships are ready for combat. Admiral Thex's scarred face showed no emotion. Good. These humans will not escape again. Their biomechanical technology will belong to the Vorthak Empire. In the asteroid field, the horizon had undergone remarkable changes over the past 3 days. What had started as a small repair with Tom Parker's blood had grown into something incredible. More crew members had volunteered to contribute their blood to transform different sections of the ship. Commander Alex Reed walked through corridors that no longer looked entirely human-made. The walls had a smooth, organic quality that seemed to pulse with life. Thin lines of blue light ran along the metal surfaces like veins carrying energy throughout the ship. Status report, Alex said as he entered the bridge. Chief Engineer Mike Stone turned from his station, his face showing amazement even after days of witnessing the changes. Sir, the ship's power efficiency has increased by 400%. The hull can now repair itself automatically, and our speed capabilities have doubled. Dr. Lisa Hayes looked up from her medical station, which had also been transformed by contact with human blood. The integration is accelerating. The ship seems to be learning from each modification we make. Navigator Kate Morgan placed her hand on her transformed control panel. Immediately, streams of data flowed through her mind as she connected directly with the ship's navigation systems. I can sense hyperspace routes that our old computers couldn't detect, she said with wonder. It's like the ship is showing me shortcuts through space itself. Tom Parker, his arm now fully healed thanks to the ship's new abilities, monitored the engineering systems through direct contact with the metal walls. Something's coming, he said suddenly. The ship is detecting multiple contacts approaching. Our position. Alex felt his stomach drop. The Vorthak? Has to be, Kate said, her hand still connected to the navigation controls. 31 ships, all heavily armed. They'll be here in less than an hour. Dr. Hayes ran calculations on her transformed computer system. Against those odds, even with our improvements, we don't stand a chance in conventional combat. Alex looked around at his crew. They had all changed during the past few days, becoming something more than they had been before. Their connection to the ship made them work as a single unit in ways that seemed impossible. Maybe we don't need conventional combat, he said slowly. Tom, how much of the ship has been transformed? About 60%, Tom replied. But sir, if we could transform the remaining sections, that would require a lot more blood, Dr. Hayes warned. More than we can safely give. Mike stepped forward. What if we don't have a choice? If those aliens capture us, they'll study our technology and use it against other humans. One by one, the crew members nodded their agreement. They understood the risks, but they also understood what was at stake. All right, Alex said. Let's do this, but carefully. We need to stay conscious enough to fight. Over the next 30 minutes, each crew member contributed more blood to transform the remaining sections of the horizon. As the final areas changed, something extraordinary happened. The ship's consciousness seemed to awaken fully. Alex could feel the ship's awareness in his mind. It knew every system, every weapon, every structural component. More than that, it could anticipate what was needed before any human could think of it. Fleet contact in 10 minutes, Kate announced, though she no longer needed to look at screens to know this information. The Vorthak fleet dropped out of hyperspace in a perfect attack formation. Admiral Thex studied the sensor readings of the human ship and frowned. The energy signatures were even stronger than General Crix had reported. "What is that thing?" Captain Vex asked, staring at the main screen. The Horizon no longer looked like the simple exploration vessel it had once been. Its hull flowed and shifted like liquid metal, constantly changing shape. Sections of the ship seemed to grow and shrink as needed, and the entire vessel pulsed with blue energy. "It doesn't matter what it looks like," Admiral Thex said. "Surround it, full weapons power." The Vorthak ships moved into position, completely encircling the transformed human vessel. Their plasma cannons charged up, ready to disable the ship without destroying it completely. "Fire," Admiral Thex commanded. Dozens of energy bolts struck the horizon from all directions, but instead of causing damage, something incredible happened. The ship's hull absorbed the energy, storing it and redirecting it to strengthen its own systems. "Impossible," Captain Vex whispered. "Their ship is feeding on our weapons." Inside the Horizon, Alex and his crew worked as a single organism. They didn't need to speak or give orders. Each person knew instinctively what needed to be done. Kate manipulated the ship's movement through pure thought, making it dance between enemy attacks with impossible grace. Mike directed power to weapon systems that the ship was creating in real time. Dr. Hayes monitored the crew's health while simultaneously analyzing enemy weaknesses. Tom, as the first to bond with the ship, had become something like its voice. "The ship wants to show them what we can do," he said. The Horizon suddenly stopped moving and began to change shape dramatically. Sections of its hull extended outward, forming weapon pods that hadn't existed moments before. Energy gathered at these new weapons, but it wasn't the simple laser technology humans had used before. "What are they doing?" Admiral Thex demanded, as his sensors registered power levels beyond anything the Vorthak had ever encountered. The human ship fired its new weapons. Beams of concentrated energy struck 3 Vorthak vessels simultaneously. But these weren't ordinary weapons. The energy seemed to infect the alien ship's metal, causing their hulls to buckle and twist in ways that defied physics. "Retreat," one of the Vorthak captains shouted over the communication system. "Their weapons are destroying our molecular structure." But Admiral Thex was too proud to run. All ships concentrated fire on their command section. The entire Vorthak fleet focused their attacks on what they thought was the Horizon's bridge. The energy impacts were massive, creating explosions that should have vaporized any normal ship. Instead, the Horizon seemed to grow stronger. Its hull absorbed the damage and immediately began adapting. New armor formations appeared where the attacks had been heaviest, and weapon systems multiplied across its surface. "Sir," Captain Vex said, his voice shaking, "their ship is learning from our attacks. Every time we hit them, they become more resistant to that type of damage." Alex felt the ship's consciousness merge more deeply with his own mind. Through this connection, he understood what the Vorthak were thinking, what their next moves would be, and how to counter them. The Horizon launched a new type of attack. Instead of energy weapons, it released clouds of microscopic particles that had been created from the transformed steel. These particles attached themselves to the Vorthak ships and began converting their hulls into the same responsive metal that made up the human vessel. "They're taking control of our ships," a Vorthak captain screamed as his vessel's controls stopped responding to his commands. Admiral Thex watched in horror as 5 of his ships began changing, their hulls flowing and reshaping themselves. What kind of beings are these humans? The answer came not from his crew but from the transformed ships themselves. The converted vessels turned their weapons on the remaining Vorthak fleet, firing with precision that no organic mind could achieve. "Retreat," Admiral Thex finally ordered. "All ships emergency hyperspace jump." As the surviving Vorthak vessels fled, Alex and his crew felt the ship's satisfaction. They had not just won a battle, they had shown the galaxy something entirely new. "What have we become?" Dr. Hayes asked quietly. Alex looked around at his crew, all of them connected to the ship in ways they were still learning to understand. "I think we've become what humans were always meant to be among the stars." Admiral Thex's remaining fleet regrouped at the edge of the solar system, their ships damaged and their crews terrified. The Admiral stared at the tactical display showing only 18 vessels remaining from his original force of 31. In a single battle, they had lost nearly half their fleet to one human ship. "Send a message to the High Command," Admiral Thex ordered, his voice heavy with defeat. "Tell them we need reinforcements. Many reinforcements." Captain Vex looked up. From his station, confusion clear in his 4 yellow eyes. "Sir, what do we tell them about what happened?" Admiral Thex thought for a moment. How could he explain that human blood could transform metal into living weapons? How could he describe ships that learned and adapted during combat? "Tell them the humans possess technology beyond our understanding," he said finally, "and that we may have made a terrible mistake by attacking them." Meanwhile, aboard the Horizon, the transformation was accelerating beyond anything the crew had imagined possible. The ship no longer looked anything like the vessel that had left Earth months ago. Its hull flowed like liquid, constantly changing shape based on the needs of the moment. Commander Alex Reed stood in what had once been the bridge, though it no longer resembled any human-built control room. The walls, floor, and ceiling had merged into a single organic-looking space that pulsed, with soft blue light. Control panels had been replaced by direct neural connections that responded to thought alone. "Status report," Alex said, though he already knew the answer through his connection to the ship. Navigator Kate Morgan floated in the center of the room, her body surrounded by tendrils of transformed metal that connected her directly to the ship's navigation systems. "We've absorbed the technology from the 5 Vorthak ships we converted," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that hadn't been there before. "Our capabilities have increased exponentially." Chief Engineer Mike Stone was no longer at a traditional station. Instead, he had merged partially with the ship's engineering systems, his consciousness spread throughout the vessel's network. "The ship is growing new sections on its own," he reported. "It's creating weapons and systems that we never designed." Dr. Lisa Hayes studied readings that appeared directly in her mind rather than on screens. "Our crew's physiology is changing too. We're becoming more efficient, stronger, and our minds are processing information faster than should be humanly possible." Tom Parker, who had been the first to bond with the ship, had changed the most. His skin had taken on a slight metallic sheen, and he could interface with any system on the ship through touch alone. "The ship is trying to tell us something," he said. "It wants to go home." "Home?" Alex asked. "You mean Earth?" "No," Tom replied, his eyes glowing with the same blue light as the ship's systems. "It wants to find other ships like itself, other human vessels that can be transformed." Alex felt a chill despite the warm atmosphere of the transformed bridge. "Are you saying the ship wants to spread this change to other human ships?" "Not wants," Tom corrected. "Needs. This is how we're supposed to evolve. The ship understands, something we don't yet." Before Alex could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the vessel. But these weren't the harsh electronic warnings of their old systems. Instead, the ship communicated danger through gentle pulses of light and direct thoughts shared with the crew. "Multiple fleets approaching," Kate announced. "Not just Vorthak. I'm detecting ships from at least 4 different alien species." The main display, which was now a 3-dimensional hologram that appeared in the air, showed dozens of vessels converging on their position. The Galactic Council had mobilized a combined fleet to deal with what they saw as a new threat to their established order. "Incoming transmission," Mike reported. A figure appeared in the holographic display. It was humanoid but clearly alien, with pale blue skin and large black eyes. "I am Counselor Wrath of the Galactic Council," the being said. "You will surrender immediately and submit to examination. Your technology poses a threat to galactic stability." Alex stepped forward, though his movement caused ripples of light to flow through the ship's organic walls. "We are peaceful explorers. We have no intention of threatening anyone. Your ship has already demonstrated its ability to convert other vessels to your cause," Counselor Wrath replied. "This cannot be allowed to spread. Surrender now, or face the combined might of the Galactic Alliance." The transmission ended, and Alex looked around at his crew. They were no longer entirely human, but they were still his people, still his responsibility. Options? He asked. We could run, Kate suggested. The ship is faster than anything they have. Running won't solve the problem, Dr. Hayes pointed out. They'll just keep hunting us and eventually they'll find Earth. Tom placed his hand against the nearest wall and the ship's consciousness flowed through his mind. The ship has another idea, he said. It wants to show them what we've become, but not through violence. What do you mean? Alex asked. Instead of fighting them, we demonstrate, Tom explained. We show them that this evolution isn't about conquest. It's about survival and growth. The combined alien fleet began their attack, launching hundreds of missiles and energy beams at the horizon. But the human ship had learned from its previous battle. Instead of simply absorbing the attacks, it began to dance. The vessel moved through space like a living creature, flowing around attacks rather than blocking them. When weapons did hit, the ship used the energy to fuel rapid transformations, growing new sections and capabilities in real time. Impossible, whispered Admiral Kex of the Zentari fleet. How can a ship move like that? It's not just a ship anymore, replied General Voss of the Altarian forces. Look at the energy readings. That thing is alive. The horizon began to emit clouds of the same microscopic particles it had used against the Vorthak ships. But instead of trying to convert the alien vessels, it used the particles to create a massive holographic display in space. The display showed the history of the human crew's transformation. It demonstrated how the process worked, how it enhanced, rather than replaced the crew's humanity, and how it could be used for exploration and peaceful purposes rather than conquest. They're trying to communicate, Counselor Rath realized as he watched the display aboard his flagship. The hologram showed possible futures where the technology could be used to explore distant galaxies, to build ships that could survive in the harshest environments, and to create true partnerships between organic life and advanced technology. But not all the alien commanders were convinced. Admiral Zek of the Mordian Empire saw only a threat to his people's way of life. It doesn't matter what they claim, he growled. Destroy them before they can spread this infection to other species. His fleet opened fire with their most powerful weapons, planet-killer beams that should have vaporized anything in their path. The horizon absorbed the massive energy discharge and used it to undergo its most dramatic transformation yet. The ship split into multiple sections, each one taking on specialized functions. Some became pure energy. Others remained physical but changed their molecular structure to something beyond current understanding of matter. The crew, still connected through the ship's consciousness, experienced this transformation as an expansion of their own beings. We are still human. Alex's voice echoed across all communication channels, reaching every ship in the alien fleet. But we are also more than we were. This is not conquest. This is evolution. The transformed sections of the horizon rejoined into a single vessel, but it was now something that defied classification. It existed partially in normal space and partially in dimensions that the alien sensors couldn't detect. Several alien captains, overwhelmed by what they had witnessed, ordered their ships to retreat. Others continued fighting, but their weapons had no effect on a ship that could shift its existence between different states of reality. The battle ended not with victory or defeat, but with understanding. The surviving alien commanders realized they were facing something entirely new, something that challenged everything they thought they knew about life, technology, and the nature of existence itself. As the alien fleets withdrew to regroup and report to their respective governments, Alex and his crew felt the ship's satisfaction. They had proven that their evolution was not a threat to be feared, but a new chapter in the story of intelligent life in the galaxy. But they also knew that their real journey was just beginning. 3 weeks after the battle with the combined alien fleet, emergency sessions were being held across the galaxy. On the Vorthak homeworld, Emperor Drax listened to Admiral Thex's report with growing concern. The massive alien ruler's 6 arms moved nervously as he processed the information. You're telling me that one human ship defeated multiple fleets from different species? Emperor Drax asked, his voice echoing through the throne room. "Not defeated, sir," Admiral Thex corrected. "They transcended the battle entirely. Their ship exists in ways our science cannot explain. They've moved beyond conventional space combat." Similar conversations were happening on dozens of worlds as the Galactic Council struggled to understand what humanity had become. The blue-skinned Counselor Wrath stood before the assembled representatives of 50 different species, each one demanding answers about the human threat. "The humans claim they are still peaceful," Counselor Wrath reported, "but their capabilities suggest they could eliminate any of our civilizations if they chose to." "Then we must strike first," declared General Mox of the Hegemony Forces, "before they can spread this technology to other human worlds." "With what?" asked Admiral Senna of the Crystalline Fleet. "Our weapons are useless against them. They absorb energy attacks and adapt to everything we throw at them." Meanwhile, the horizon was approaching Earth's solar system, but the ship that returned bore no resemblance to the vessel that had left months earlier. It had grown to 3 times its original size, its hull flowing like liquid metal that sparkled with inner light. Sections of the ship phased in and out of visible reality as it traveled through dimensions that normal physics couldn't describe. Commander Alex Reed stood in the heart of the vessel, no longer on a traditional bridge but within a sphere of living metal that responded to his thoughts. His crew were positioned throughout the ship, each one connected to different systems through the neural pathways that the transformed steel had grown. "Earth's defense systems are scanning us, Navigator," Kate Morgan reported, her consciousness spread across the ship's sensor network. "They don't recognize what we've become." Dr. Lisa Hayes, whose research station had evolved into something resembling a biological laboratory, crossed with an alien computer, monitored Earth's communications. "Military commanders are ordering us to stop and identify ourselves. They're treating us as a potential hostile." "Of course they are," Alex said sadly. "To them, we probably look like an alien invasion." Tom Parker, who had become the ship's primary interface, placed his metallic hand against the organic wall. "The ship wants to show them that we're still human," he said. "But it's also concerned about what might happen if other humans aren't ready for this change." Chief Engineer Mike Stone, his consciousness now distributed throughout the ship's growing network of systems, detected multiple human military vessels approaching their position. Earth Defense Force is mobilizing everything they have. Battleships, carriers, orbital platforms. Alex felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. They had left Earth as explorers and returned as something that might be seen as monsters. How could they prove they were still human when they themselves weren't entirely sure what they had become? "Open a communication channel," Alex ordered. "All frequencies." The horizon transmitted on every possible wavelength, reaching not just the military forces but every human settlement in the solar system. Alex's voice, enhanced by the ship's consciousness, carried a warmth and familiarity that cut through the fear. "This is Commander Alex Reed of the exploration vessel Horizon," he began. "I know we look different, but we are still human. We are still your friends, your family, your fellow explorers." On Earth's surface, billions of people watched their screens as the impossible ship hung in space. Scientists struggled to understand the readings their instruments were providing. The vessel seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, its energy signature unlike anything in their databases. "Prove it," came the response from Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force. "If you're really human, explain what happened to you." Alex looked around at his transformed crew, each one still recognizably the person they had been, but also something more. "We encountered alien forces that attacked us. During the battle, we discovered that human blood can transform, steal into something alive, something that bonds with us." He paused, trying to find words for an experience that went beyond normal language. "We didn't lose our humanity. We expanded it. We became partners with our technology instead of just users of it." The ship began to demonstrate, showing holographic displays of their journey. The images showed their first contact with the Vorthak, the discovery of the blood-steel reaction, and their evolution from a simple exploration vessel into something unprecedented. "The technology isn't just about warfare," Dr. Hayes added, her voice joining the transmission. It's about survival, exploration, and growth. We can travel to places no conventional ship could reach, survive in conditions that would destroy normal vessels. On Earth, reaction was mixed. Some saw the horizon as humanity's next evolutionary step. Others viewed it as a dangerous aberration that threatened to change their species forever. President Williams of the Earth Union addressed her cabinet in an emergency session. What are the implications if this technology spreads? Unknown, replied Science Advisor Dr. Park. But based on what we're seeing, it could revolutionize space travel, colonization, even our understanding of consciousness itself. Or it could turn us into something that's no longer human, countered Military Advisor General Torres. We need to consider containment protocols. The debate was interrupted by an urgent message from the deep space monitoring stations. Multiple alien fleets detected approaching the solar system, the operator reported. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. Admiral Chen immediately contacted the horizon. Commander Reed, our sensors show hostile forces approaching Earth. Are they here because of you? Alex felt the ship's consciousness analyzing the incoming fleets. Yes, he admitted. The galactic powers see us as a threat. They're coming to destroy us before we can spread this technology. Then you've brought war to our doorstep, General Torres accused over the open channel. No, Alex replied firmly. We've brought evolution, but that evolution comes with challenges. The horizon began to change again, sections of its hull reshaping themselves into configurations that human engineers had never imagined. We can protect Earth, Tom said, his voice carrying the authority of the ship's consciousness. But only if humanity is willing to accept what we've become. What are you asking? President Williams inquired. Allow us to share this technology with other human ships, Alex explained. Create a fleet that can defend not just Earth but all human worlds. We can explore the galaxy as partners with our machines instead of slaves to them. The debate that followed was fierce. Some argued that the technology was too dangerous, that it would fundamentally change what it meant to be human. Others insisted that without it, humanity would be defenseless against the advanced alien civilizations that now saw them as a threat. As the alien fleets drew closer, the decision was made. 3 volunteer ships from Earth's Defense Force docked with the horizon. Their crews, understanding the risks, allowed their blood to transform their vessels' steel hulls. The transformation was faster this time, as the horizon had learned to guide the process. Within hours, 4 evolved ships hung in Earth's orbit, their hulls gleaming with organic light, their crews enhanced by neural connections to living metal. When the alien fleets arrived, they found not a single unusual vessel, but the beginning of a new kind of spacefaring civilization. The battle that followed wasn't won through superior firepower, but through demonstration of humanity's new symbiotic relationship with technology. General Crix, leading the Vorthak contingent, watched in amazement as the human ships moved through, space like living creatures adapting and evolving in real time to meet each challenge. Perhaps, he transmitted to his fleet, we have been thinking about this wrong. These humans haven't become our enemies. They've become something we never imagined possible. The message he sent to Emperor Drax was simple but profound, requesting permission to negotiate alliance rather than conquest. The humans may have found the key to the next stage of galactic evolution. As the alien fleets withdrew to consider this new paradigm, Alex and his crew looked toward the stars with new understanding. They were no longer just human explorers or alien adversaries. They had become bridges between organic life and advanced technology, showing the galaxy that evolution didn't mean abandoning one's nature, but expanding it beyond previous limitations. The age of humanity among the stars had truly begun.